chapter 14, verses 22 to 33. Matthew 14, 22 to 33. After he had fed the people, this continues from last Sunday's gospel, where Jesus had pity on the people. He felt their pain as deeply as he felt his own pain, and in the process helped these people to again be renewed in the goodness, the love, the grace, the goodness of God. And he fed them in various ways. Fed them by the way that he reminded them of who they were in God's eyes, reminded them of how God was constantly with them, and then actually physically fed them as well. So after he had fed the people, Jesus made the disciples get into a boat and precede him to the other side, while he dismissed the crowds. After doing so, Jesus went up the mountain by himself to pray. While it was evening, Jesus was there alone. Meanwhile, the boat, already a few miles offshore, was being tossed about by the waves, for the wind was against it. During the fourth watch of the night, Jesus came toward them walking on the sea. When the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified. "It is a ghost," they said, and they cried out in fear. At once Jesus spoke to them. "Take courage. It is I. Do not be afraid." Peter said to him in reply, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." Jesus said, "Come." Peter got out of the boat and began to walk on the water toward Jesus. But when he saw how strong the wind was, he became frightened, and beginning to sink, he cried out, "Lord, save me!" And Jesus said to him, Immediately Jesus stretched out his hand and caught Peter and said to him, "O you of little faith, why did you doubt?" After they got into the boat, the wind died down. Those who were in the boat did Jesus homage, saying, "Truly, you are the Son of God." Point number one. Last week we reflected on how Jesus went to this deserted place by himself. The gospel never said how the disciples got to that same place. But, again, that's a detail that somebody forgot to write in. So they just happened to get there somehow. That's a crazy aside. It's only meant to, anyway. So Jesus had heard about the death of John the Baptist. It affected him deep to his core, and he naturally wanted to spend time alone. So he got in the boat and went. And, of course, by the time he got off the boat on the pier, who was there? This throng of people figured out where he was going, and evidently Jesus rowed that boat very slowly because they were able to get there on foot while Jesus was going across the lake. So Jesus then postpones his self-care and takes care of the people. And we see that he doesn't forget to engage in self-care. Many of us, when we choose, we say we need to take care of ourselves and realize that if Jesus did it, it's something that's necessary for us. It's not just good. It's not just okay. It's necessary that we provide time for self-care. And it's a kind of a weak expression, because who's going to care for us? Well, we provide God the opportunity to care, and that ends up with being what we call self-care. And so sometimes parents, for instance, with children, they want to spend some time alone, but lo and behold, a child bruises themselves, or whatever the case is, or needs help with homework, whatever the case may be. And so a parent will often then say, all right, I'll postpone my moment of self-care, take care of my child. Jesus teaches us that we want to be very, very attentive to our needs, to self-care, which includes just simply letting God say to us, as God said to Jesus many, many times, "You are my beloved. My goodness and kindness is with you." If you made a mistake along the way in how you were interacting, please give it to me. I will put it aside and not remember it, and renew with you my mercy, my goodness, my grace.